1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 batteries in parallel. All different capacities, different BMS, different points of connection to the solar system. And today will be the day, guys. Well, first of all, welcome back to the off-grid garage. Well, there are no clouds, nothing. So I'm expecting around 150, 200 amps outside today. But of course, we are limiting the power coming in to not exceed the 63 amps. More about this later. Yeah, guys, welcome back to the off-grid garage. Welcome back to the show. In today's video, we want to fully charge all these batteries here together. Probably the first time from solar ever. I have charged these batteries here before, but this was more like an artificial charging. I used the charger to inject power into single batteries to lift them up. But now they are connected for like 3-4 months or so in parallel, and they have all equalized. And I think today, with all the sun coming in, it could be the first day we are seeing a natural fully charge of all these batteries. Okay, let me show you what I have. Here's the dashboard we will be working with today. So up here you can see the state of charge of my both batteries. Yeah, one battery is the battery shelf with the 3 batteries that's at the top. It has its own smart shunt, as you know, and it shows 82.2% state of charge. Yeah. Then we've got the power wall, which are 9 batteries, and they are paralleled with the battery shelf. Yeah. The power wall has got its own shunt, and this shunt shows 94.9% state of charge. I've seen 100% yesterday for the power wall already, but this was only because the ampere hours have accumulated and we reached the 100%. None of the batteries has actually reached 3.45 volts yet. So, but we were very close yesterday to reach that. And I think today we can do it. We will have a full sunny day, 33 degrees today. And I think we will get enough solar power to fully charge this battery for the very first time naturally from solar. Yeah, no external charger used, no injection or recharging of one single battery because it lags behind. Everything will be done naturally. So we will see how the system works completely automatically. Yeah, and this was the dashboard we have used in the past here for the battery shelf, because this was the only batteries we had. 3 battery stacks, top shelf, middle shelf, bottom shelf, and it gave us all the details, the voltage, the state of charge, current, power into the battery, minimum, maximum cell voltage, everything. Yeah, but now with all the other batteries connected, 12 all in total, I cannot use this type of dashboard anymore. So I created a new one in Home Assistant, which is a bit more compact and gives us an overview about all the batteries at once. And this looks like this. This is only a small table basically. Yeah, we've got the battery shelf with the 3 batteries. We've got the global power stack, which has 4 batteries. We've got a Jackie stack, which has 3 batteries, but 2 of them are only talking pylon tech. These are the PACE BMS. So they are combined as one battery already. And then we've got the Yishi stack here on the right hand side with 3 batteries and the massive MB56 at the top. So I just walk you quickly through what we can actually see here. Let's take, for example, the battery number 1, which has the JBD overkill BMS in the top shelf battery. This is an EVE LF304. We've got a pack voltage of 53.7 volts. We are charging the battery with 9 amps. This is also what we can see when we have a green symbol here. A gray one is neutral, there's nothing going in or out, and red is discharging, obviously. So it changes this accordingly. So I can see this all in one glance, what is going on, yeah? Then we've got the power going into the battery and what the BMS thinks the state of charge of this one single battery is. We've got the maximum cell voltage. We've got the minimum cell voltage, we've got the cell voltage delta, and we've got the balancer, which is off at the moment. So these are all the details for one single battery in each of the stacks. So if we go back quickly to the overview here. So the smart shunt in the battery shelf thinks we are at 82.4%. And we know the smart shunt is always right. It is very close to the point of truth. It is the most accurate part in the system to measure the state of charge. So 82.4%. The JBD thinks we had 54. This old version 1 JK-BMS B series, an old one, thinks we are at 90%, so that's probably the closest we have in the battery shelf. And this one in the bottom shelf thinks we are at 34%, so way off. Yeah, and here the second smart shunt for the Powerwall for all the other remaining batteries thinks we are at 95%. The Google Power Stack here, 75, 93. This is the version 14 of the JK inverter BMS again, yeah. 93, so it's only 2% off. 98, bit overshooting, but still fairly close. And 98 here as well for the other JK version 15 BMS. The Jackie batteries, one of them has a JK version 19 BMS as well, 95%, so that is actually very accurate at the moment. And the two PACE BMSs are on 71%, so they've got their own algorithm obviously. So let's see when we come closer to 100% and the voltage is rising, how good these measurement or these calculations in the PACE BMS actually is, yeah. And then we've got the Young stack here with the MB56 at the top, 300 amp version, oh, that should be version 19, that's not version 15. Here, version 19 it is. Done. Okay, version 19 BMS, the 300 amp JK inverter BMS MB56. And I think we are at 84%, so yeah. Version 15 JK, 95, and version 15 JK here, 71. I have to admit, I have tampered with this one here. I have changed some parameters, and usually it resets then the state of charge to 66%. So this one is a bit off, so we cannot really count this in as a pure calculation because I have changed parameters in there. That was just for a future video, so I had to have a test battery here connected and change some parameters, and this was the one. And what we can see here, the 95.1%, this is the second smart shunt I have installed in the Powerwall. It is not an average or any other calculation or what the JK inverter BMS master calculates and submits to the inverter. This is the pure smart shunt. I'm ignoring all these single state of charge calculations of all these BMSs altogether. I basically don't care about them. Yeah, I use this smart shunt for the battery shelf and a second smart shunt for all the other batteries as my point of truth. And the combined state of charge of all the batteries connected at the moment is 92.3%. And this is a calculation Home Assistant does, and it uses the overall capacity of all connected batteries as a weighing. Yeah, because 82% here of 3 batteries is not as much as 83% of 9 batteries. So, but this one factors in the capacity of all the batteries. And here we can see the current for both shunts. The top one shows the battery shelf and the bottom one in orange shows the Powerwall. Yeah, we've got the measured voltage here, what the smart shunt measures. And we also have the temperatures for the battery shelf and one of the temperature sensors in the Powerwall. And up here we can see also the power distribution at the moment. So we are charging with 3.7 kilowatts purely from solar. And the battery shelf gets 2 kilowatts and the Powerwall only 1.6 kilowatts. Yeah, this is mainly due because the battery shelf is sitting much closer to the actual solar chargers. So the internal resistance of these 3 batteries is actually smaller than the internal resistance of the longer path to the Powerwall with all the other connected batteries. So, and current is always choosing the path with the lowest resistance. That's why we see distribution. Battery shelf is always charging a lot faster than the Powerwall. Yeah, but it doesn't matter because once the battery shelf is catching up, which will go fairly quickly now, it will be only taking 1 or 2 hours or something, and then we will see the battery shelf sitting on 95% as well. And these 3 batteries in the shelf, they will basically stop charging and waiting for all the other batteries to catch up and rise in voltage. We will see this later. It's very interesting to watch how all these batteries are balancing out basically. Yeah. So we just need to wait basically now. 5.2 kilowatts coming from solar, 4.9 is coming from the MPPTs from all the roofs here, and 355 watts from the tilt system on the house, which is connected via micro inverters back into the off-grid system here. And this is still partly shaded because we are so early. So, alright, I would say I'll keep monitoring this situation here, and if something interesting happens, I'll be back here online and show you and let you know. This was just a brief introduction how the system looks like, how the system works, what kind of information we see here on the screen, and well, let's give it 1 or 2 hours and then I shall be back. So it is now 45 minutes later. We have just passed the 10,000 watt mark for incoming solar power. We are at 95.3% state of charge, so the battery shelf has increased its state of charge to 91%. The power wall sits on 96.6%. And here, interestingly, 5.6 kilowatt going into the battery shelf, with only 3 batteries, and close to 3 kilowatt going into the remaining 10 batteries on the other side in the power wall. And this corresponds to 104 amps into the battery shelf and only 56 amps into the power wall. Battery charge voltage, 54.4 volts here in the battery shelf and 53.9 only, so half a volt lower in the power wall. I want to show you something else here. So at the moment, the absorption or bulk voltage is still at 55.2 volts. This is what the BMS or the iBMS tells the inverter, the MPPTs and the microcontroller, the inverter altogether to charge the batteries to. This is the iBMS master. And you can see here the absorption voltage of 55.2, and this is just a normal entity I can just integrate into any automation, and this is exactly what I have done. So I basically look at the current going through this circuit breaker, this 63 amp circuit breaker. And this is what we are measuring with the second shunt, going into all the batteries in the power wall. So if this current goes over 60 amps, I'm reducing the CCL by 0.1 volts. So it goes down from 55.2 to 55.1. I'm checking this every 20 seconds. If the current is still too high, over 60 amps, I'm reducing the charge voltage again by 0.1 volts. So once the current goes under 60 amps, like now 58, the automation will pause and nothing will happen. Then if we turn on a big load, if I charge the vehicle for example or so, and the current into the Powerwall batteries goes under 50 amps, I'm actually increasing the CVL again by 0.1 volts. Now actually it's not really true, because I'm increasing the voltage only by 0.01 volts, by 10 millivolt every 20 seconds. So increasing goes in 10 millivolt increments, but decreasing goes in 100 millivolt increments. So this is being done because if I go over 63 amps, I want to react fast. I want to reduce the current. But to increase it again, I'm really cautious and I go step by step by step by step and see if it makes a difference and if I come close to the 60 amps again. So we will see this here in a few minutes, I believe. We are at 59 amps already into the Powerwall batteries, and then we should see a reduction here to 55.1 volts. Unfortunately the Victron system does not expose the CVL or CCL directly here in Home Assistant, so I cannot use the Home Assistant integration directly. I think there is another way via Modbus somehow, but this involves a different integration, an MQTT. I've seen something online somewhere, but it was a bit of a tinkering solution, and it involved several other steps before you actually can do that. But here with the iBMS, it's obviously very simple because it exposes this charge voltage limit, the 55.2 volts, directly as an entity, and it's super easy to integrate this in any automation then. All right, let's give it a few minutes and then we should hit the 60 amps here, which is our maximum charge current through this breaker. All right, we have now reached the 60 amps. It was only 2 minutes. Can take up to 20 seconds now until the CVL actually lowers to 55.1. There it is, 55.1. So now it checks in 20 seconds again if the current is still over 60 amps. There you go. We have already limited the current now by 4 amps and we are under 60 amps, so the automation is now pausing. So it has actually reduced the charge voltage limit down to 55. And we are still over 61 amps, so I think we are going down a little bit further. 106 amps into the battery shelf, 61 into all the other batteries. So we should be seeing 54.9 at any moment. There it is. Let's see if this reduces the current already. No, it doesn't. Okay, it goes down to 54.8. The current is still increasing because solar power is increasing as well. The sun is coming now around the trees now and lighting up all my solar panels. So it is only 9:40 in the morning. So it keeps decreasing CVL until we go under 60 amps. Yeah. Every 20 seconds it checks again. And this obviously reduces the current into the battery shelf as well. Yeah, because this is limiting the overall charge voltage from all my solar sources into all my batteries. There you go, 54.5, and now we are under 60 amps. So let's see if it holds. You can see the overall power coming from solar has also reduced. Yeah, so I'm capping my solar actually now to stay under these 60 amps here. And this is a limitation I'm living with basically since I have installed all these other batteries here temporarily. And because this is close to 160 kilowatt hours and we're charging with under 60 amps during the day, it is just not enough to fully charge these batteries. Even when we have a full day of sun, we are capping our incoming solar power due to this limitation of the circuit breaker. But not for too much longer, guys. So hence I was not able to fully charge all these batteries from solar directly. But today, hopefully, we are very close. So we have now reached 54.5 volts. Yeah, and this is obviously a voltage which keeps the current just under 60 amps. So automation will pause now and monitor the situation every 20 seconds. Let's have a look in the overview what we have here. 3.4 volts maximum, 3.48. The balancer is already on, but this is the, oh God, this is the version 1 JBD-BMS, which is connected to the first generation of LF280Ks. These are the ones with a threaded hole, the M6 thread inside the terminals, and you have to put a set screw in it and a washer and spring washer and nut and all this kind of shit, yeah. And this is usually the one which causes trouble all the time, because there's aluminium on copper or aluminium on aluminium, and there's always some oxidation underneath. So at some stage we want to use the MG chemicals here again, the 847 carbon conductive assembly paste it is. Yeah, I'll link this one down below. Some people have suggested this to me, recommended it to me. I have tested this before with not much luck with these batteries actually. So, but we try again. So hence this battery here is already balancing because one of the cells is already peaking over 3.45 volts. Yeah, settings of all these batteries here is 100% the same. So balancer turns on at 3.45 volts. And as you can see, all the other balancers are off. Everything is off. Well, we don't know about the PACE. The Pylon Tech protocol here is very limited and doesn't give us the information. Let's have a quick look here. 8.6 kilowatt is coming from the MPPTs and 1.2 kilowatt is coming from the tilt system up here. Yeah, we are still holding 54.5 volts here and managed to keep the current just under 60 amps, so perfect. And I've never had this circuit breaker tripping at all if we keep the current under 60 amps, so that works totally fine. And thankfully fully automatically now. I'm still monitoring everything here in Home Assistant, but you know, it just works. All right, my friends, it is now 10 to 11, so a bit later. And now something very interesting is happening. The battery shelf is actually taking 0 amps, yeah, 105 watts only. It's fully saturated at 54.7 volts already. While the power wall is still sitting at 54.13 volts and it's taking 53 amps, yeah. So now it has completely shifted. Battery shelf is full, power wall takes all the energy it can. So let's have a look at these single batteries. Yeah, battery shelf sits at 3.42 volts. That's the maximum cell voltage. Balancer are off. Even we have a deviation of 88 millivolt here in this battery, but we haven't reached the 3.45 volt just now. Balancer turns on for a moment. So the voltage is just underneath where the balancer would actually trigger. So our global stack, 4 amps, 0 amps, 4 amps, 0 amps. Jackie, 0 amps here, 3 amps going into the 2 PACE BMS batteries, 23 amps going into the MB56 battery still, so this is a bit of, so this takes half of the energy going into all of these batteries, 9 amp and 10 amp. So the ESG Young stack is a bit behind, so it takes almost all of the energy here. Yeah, and you can see because we are limited to 54.7 volts charge voltage, yeah, the battery shelf doesn't take any power, any energy anymore. Everything goes into the power wall, and the solar energy is actually limited or clipped to 5.1 kilowatts only. And you can see it here, carport, 255 watts, 970, 1.8 kilowatt, 800 watts from here, 3.7. So that's 25% of what the system could deliver. The rest limited because of this circuit breaker. But you can see Home Assistant does it all automatically, so it makes sure we are not going over these 60 amps. And the battery shelf is just waiting now. Yeah, it needs to wait until this voltage actually rises, and then this voltage can rise as well. And hopefully we will see this today and recharge all the batteries to 100%, well, what we define at 100%. So here and in this situation, because I know the sun is out there, yeah, and we could potentially make now 12, 13, 14 kilowatts or something, we can either turn on the hot water or start the vehicle charging and use this excess energy which we are not charging into the battery to, yeah, we use it directly for a load like hot water or EV charging now. All right, let's do this. Let's start vehicle charging. Here it comes. Alright, what you will observe now is that the AC power from our tilt system goes to 0. Yeah, it doesn't like when the car starts charging. Now solar production ramps up, so now the micro inverters need to resync onto the 50 Hertz of the multiplus, and then they start producing energy again. It could happen a couple of times at the beginning that the tilt system actually trips out. This is only when my car is connected. When my wife's car charges or any other load is connected, I've never seen this. But when my plugs in, it always goes to 0. It says, nah, I can't handle it, can't handle it. And I don't know why. There must be some sort of distortion of the voltage or frequency shifting for a short moment, what the inverter sees as a fault, and it stops producing power. And then it resyncs, and we should see this one ramping up here in a second again. So voltage is slowly coming up here, 54.14 volts now. This is still in the flat part of the curve. We are just at the beginning of the increase voltage curve there. And 54.7 is already in the incline of the voltage. Now another pump kicks in. So you can see 3.5 kilowatt now coming from the multiplus. And this could even trigger the generator now because we are over 3.5 kilowatts. But then once the AC solar kicks in, now it comes back. See, the output of the multiplus goes actually down, and now the microinverter is producing energy. And this goes directly into the vehicle basically now. And we are still charging with 54 amps here into the power wall, 0 amps going into the battery shelf. It's waiting. So, and so do we. We just need to wait now until the voltage is coming up. So hopefully this doesn't take too long. All right, just right on time, shortly after lunch. It is almost 2 p.m. And I think we are switching to 55 volts requested charge voltage very, very soon. We are at 49 amps only into the power wall. The battery shelf sits on 0 amps for the last 2 hours, so it doesn't move much. But we are at 54.9 volts, so this is already in the incline of the curve. And let's have a look at these single batteries. 0 amps, 1 amp, negative 2 amps. This is when load comes on and off. It balances. See, now it charges a bit with 5 amps again. So it's a coming and going of energy. So here in the Powerwall, 2 amps, 1 amp, 0 amps, 1 amp. Gobel stack completely saturated at 3.44 volts. So they're very close to kick off the balancer. The Jackipper battery 0 amps, the 2 PACE BMS 2 amps, so they are saturated at this voltage as well. And then our troublemaker, the Yishi Yang stack, yeah, MB56 takes 36 amps still. It's at 99% state of charge. 2 kilowatt just into the MB56. And the maximum cell is only at 3.39 volts, so not even 3.4. The other Yixiang here, version 15, 13 amps, and the bottom one, 3 amps. So this one is almost saturated as well. So these two are taking almost all the energy now. But I think we are very close yet. We have just switched to 55 volts, CVL, charge voltage limit. And this has increased our charging current again to 55 amps here for the power wall. The vehicle has stopped charging, so this is all done. I think I can just turn on the hot water now as another load, because we still have a surplus on solar energy and we can just use it to heat up the water, for example. Okay, state of charge 97.7 says the smart shunt in the battery shelf, and 100% for the power wall, the second smart shunt. Overall we are at 99.5% state of charge. Wow, that's a lot of energy now. 200 kilowatt hours, give or take, are now fully charged. If the MB56 battery would hurry up a bit. Okay, it takes 37 amps now. It is hurrying up. Alright, give it another 10 minutes or so and then we should be a bit closer, at least. Okay, our charge voltage limit is at 55.1 volts and I think we are seeing the last jump now to 55.2. Current has just increased to 52 again, but now it went up again. 57 again. We have now switched to 55.2 volts. This is the maximum charge voltage we will ever have in this battery, and this will now increase the voltage in the battery shelf to 55.2, obviously. So the smart shunt in the battery shelf. So we should see 100% state of charge here in 3-4 minutes. And we are also in the final stage of fully charging the Powerwall batteries. What do we have? 1 amp, 2 amp, 0, 1 amp, 0, 2 amps, 39 in the MB56 still, 10 amps, 1 amp. So this one is full as well. This one is catching up a little bit, and this one here as well. But we are now at 55.2 volts, so this is all the voltage we are getting. It is now a matter of absorbing and bringing up the voltage slightly in all these batteries to reach 55.2 volts. So at some stage all the batteries should have 55.2 volts and the current in both shunts should be 0. Do we see? We see a balancer here in the master of the Goebel stack, a balancer here in the Jackie battery, and there's no balancing here because the voltage is still too small. A bit of deviation here in this battery, 94 millivolt, here 52 millivolt, 10 millivolt. Incredible. 102 millivolt, incredible as well. Just from a negative perspective, 26 millivolt, that's fine. 22, 13, 22, 34. So the automation will now shut down basically 55.2 volts. It's not going any higher. But we have to stay on bulk manually, otherwise we would start the absorption timer now, and after half an hour we go to float. And I really need probably more than half an hour to fully charge this Yishi Yang stack now, and to get all the batteries balanced and to the same level. And then we are on true 100% state of charge. I'll be back when it gets interesting. Hello, it's me again. So we are now at 55 volts with the Powerwall, finally. The current has already tapered off to 21 amps only. So 1 amp, 2 amp, 0, 1, 0, 2 amps, 11 amps in the MB56. So finally it has saturated at almost 3.5 volts. There it is, 3.5 volts per cell. There's a bit of deviation going on in this battery, obviously. Here 2 amps, 0 amps. Yeah, good luck balancing the MB56. This will take a while. But yeah, overall everything seems to be good. The smart shunt has still not reset to 100% here of the battery shelf. Because it should, because we are over 55.1 volts for 3 minutes and the current is under 2% of 1C, which is then it's around 16 amps, so it must be under 16 amps then. So yeah, let's see, whatever. 100%, 99%, 51%, okay, 51%. I don't think this BMS will ever reset to 100 here. It is totally out of whack. But we don't really care about it, right? So here, this BMS is on 100, this is 99, 99, 99, 177 in the PACE BMS, but they are still a bit low, 54.99 volts only. They're still charging with 2 amps, so there might be something going on. Eventually they will catch up and should reset to 100%. It works actually pretty reliable in the PACE BMS. This one is already on 100%, 99, and 86%, but this one is out of whack, as I said, because I tampered with it. So the multiplus has gone to absorption as well, It is holding the 55.2 volts now for an hour and then goes to float. It will then increase the frequency as well to turn off the tilt system, the microinverters. But this is not the case yet. We are still holding 55.2 volts. Okay, my friends, there we have it. Both smart shunts are now showing 100% state of charge. We are at 55.2 volts and 55.18 volts, still charging with 4 amps into the auxiliary batteries of the Powerwall. Let's have a detailed look here what's going on. So this is the Powerwall here, 0 amps, 2 amps, 4 amps into the Powerwall, and here 1, 0, 0, 0, 0 amps, 0 amps, 2 amps into the MB56, 0 amps, 0 amps. So, and now a load has kicked in, some of the batteries are discharging. And we still have a bit of a deviation here in the MB56, but it has come down significantly to 37 millivolt only. 9 millivolt here, 10 millivolt there, we don't know. 40 millivolt up here, the balancer is still on. 14 millivolt, 9, 143. This is the pre-assembled Google Power battery, which has 143 millivolt deviation. I don't know why. And here the battery shelf, 8 millivolt in the top battery with the JBD Overkill, which has a 100 milliamp passive balancer or so. And the battery is top-notch, top balanced, so extremely high quality and matched cells up here. Not so much here in the middle shelf, 109 millivolt deviation balancer is still on. Obviously a 2 amp active balancer is working here, but this is mainly coming from the bad connection between the aluminium terminals and the bus bars. And I want to test this paste again at some stage and take all the bus bars off and clean this all up and put this paste on and see if this makes a difference over time. Which I think we have done already, but let's do it again. Here 8 millivolt in the bottom shelf, balancer is still on, balancing down to 5 millivolt, but yeah. We are everywhere at 55.2 volts, pack voltage. It's a bit lower here on the PACE BMS. I'm not sure if I can calibrate the voltage, I don't think so. Oh no, I could calibrate the amps, but not the voltage. Yeah, 55.2, 55.2, 55.2. Perfect. All right. Congratulations, Andy. First time ever naturally fully charged all the batteries here. And we have, let me have a look. Template option. Yeah, so 864 and 2926 to 6. So that's 3790 ampere hours. And this times 3.2 volts per cell times 16 we have in series for each battery makes then 194 kilowatt hours, that is, plus a bit of overcapacity some of the cells have. For example, the MB56 battery has not 628 ampere hours as in the calculation here. It has actually more than 660 ampere hours. And most of the other batteries as well, they show an overcapacity in comparison to the rated capacity they normally have. Because they are all of high quality. Yeah, let's say 200 kilowatt hours now fully charged here. That is amazing. That is a lot of energy already. So there you go. First full charge of the season. 200 kilowatt hours. Alright, my friends, I think so far this video from today, fully charging this battery, amazing. Which is actually good because we have got some visitors coming tomorrow and they come with a 85 kilowatt hour battery vehicle or something. And I said, please arrive with a low state of charge so we can charge your vehicle while you are here. I need to get rid of all this energy here for the next couple of days. So this is actually perfect timing here. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching. Thanks for all your great and amazing support here on the channel. Yeah, if you like this sort of content here, please consider subscribing to the channel, click the like button, leave a nice comment, and if you want to, you can also buy me a beer. Thank you very much for your support. Guys, until the next video when we do something completely different again here. Until then, you stay fully charged, stay safe, and thanks again for watching. See you then. Bye-bye. There you go. 200 kilowatt hours. Wow.